Hey everybody, so I wanted to take a look at rendering here. I have a scene set up in Solaris in the shop. I have my object, my character in here. Then I have a material library with all my materials for my character and the material linker where I connected all the materials. Here in the scene import, I have the environment. So if we just visualize that only, we have the environment, and that's coming from the main scene, and that's just an FBX imported. Then I have a merge. The merge brings in our scene elements and the lights. Have the camera, that is the staging pretty much. Oh, I have to be past that point, or at least that point, and then the camera exists. There we go. And then the render settings. In the render settings, I have set up the resolution to 1080. I'm rendering camera 1. I have XPU rendered. I'm using 256 samples for my render, and then oh, that's something. I set up light groups, so if I click on the light, I activated this with a key light. And then I have the rim light, and those are the two lights that I have in the scene. So with the beauty, I'm splitting it with the light tags, so I have the beauty itself and then the light tags. And then if we look, let me collapse everything really quick. So potentially all of these here can be used to be rebuilt. The beauty, the diffuse, the reflection, refractions, light emissions, volume, subsurface scattering, albedo. Not so much ambient occlusion, but these are kind of the beauties. And then we have the utility passes of things that could be useful. So I have the camera, the depth of the camera, and then I have some extra channels where I am exporting the cryptomats based off of the object and the materials. And then, so with the beauty, I'm getting the beauty pass. I'm exporting the shadows, but I don't need that to rebuild the beauty. The diffuse, I have the diffuse. And all of these we can separate by the light tags if we wanted to. I don't think I have anything else in here, but we could split that out if we wanted to, all the different elements. Combined glossy and refraction. I have that in the scene. Then I also, because I have the eyes that are transparent, I have like a clear coat on top of them. So I'm bringing in the transmission also, and the coat, because there's some coat shine on the claws. Then lights and emission, there's nothing because I don't have any emissive lights in the scene or emission. Volume, I don't have any volume. Subsurface scattering is the skin, so I have that, and you can see that is checked. And then I'm exporting the albedo. And I'm not exporting ambient occlusion. And like I said, I have the depth camera and the cryptomats. So I'm saving it onto my drive, but if I jump over to this one, I can render to disk. I've already done that, so it's saved. And then I can render to MPlay, and I can show you really quick what the passes look like. So we have the color. It should be a relatively quick render. But we have the color pass, and we can see all the different passes that we have. Depth pass and albedo. Oh, because it's under the beauty, the C inside of Houdini's beauty. And we split up the light, so emission, but we don't have any. Then we have the key light and the rim light group that we set up. And then we have coat, that's the clause that I was telling you about. Then combine diffuse and reflection glossy. And then the crypto mats, so that's the crypto for the materials, and here's the crypto for the objects. And then we have the depth paths that we already looked at, the glossy transmission, that's the eyes that I was telling you about that I needed the transmission for, and then the shadow paths, and subsurface scattering. Okay, and that's kind of what it's combined, and it's a little bit less than 2 minutes, but I have that basically done. I could save it out from here if I want, but like I said, I already saved out a drive. And then let's go to Nuke. Excuse me. And then inside of Nuke, we're going to start combining everything. So let's create a new project. And I am going to switch over to Compositing view, the workspace. Okay, so I have the viewer here. And let's create a read node. So here inside of the node editor, just push tab, read, image, and then I have the scene here. If I push 1 while I have this selected, it'll show it up here. On any of these, if I push spacebar, it will maximize it. So we can do that. If you ever lose, like when I did this, last time I lost them, but let's just move them off like that. If you push F, it'll focus and frame in on your chain. Or if you have one thing selected, it will focus on that. If you have nothing selected, it'll do the whole network. Okay, so in my scene, I'm going to push S, hovering over here, over the network graph, or the node graph. I'm going to go to full size format, and in here I'm going to switch it to HD 1080 because that's the size of my scene. That's going to give me the elements that I need. And I'm just closing all these out because I get lost pretty quick with the properties popping up over there. But anytime I create anything new inside of here in Nuke, it's going to create it at a 1080 resolution, and that's what I rendered at. So that is helpful. Now let's create a shuffle node. So the shuffle node is what we're going to be able to use to get the channels out. So we have a tag there, and oops, that's not what I wanted to do that there. Okay, so right now we're switching out the RBGA to the RBGA. So it's giving us the same image that we have here, the default beauty pass. And if we expand here, we can see the different passes that we rendered out and we have access to. So in here, I'm going to start off with here, that's a little bit cleaner way to see all the passes that we have. So I'm going to switch over and do the diffuse, combine diffuse. There we go. So it's sending the diffuse channels to the RBGA. So when we look at this one, if I push 1 on this one, we'll see that we're only getting the diffuse. And then over here, we're getting the beauty. So I'm going to rebuild the beauty. I'm going to need more shuffle nodes. So I'm going to copy, paste that a few times. That way I have a whole bunch of them to work with. Move them off to the side, disconnect it. And then connect it over here into the image. So we have those two going into the image. This first one that I created, I'm going to double click on it, and when you double click on it, it goes onto the top of the property stack here. I am going to rename it to diffuse, so that way it is easy to find over here which channel I want to work with. Then I'm going to double click. Make sure you don't just single click. If you do, like if I try to go back to the diffuse doesn't come to the top. You need to make sure you double click, and then those properties will go back to the top. Okay, so I know that I don't have the emission. The key light and the rim light on the own, if I combine them, they will actually create the beauty. So I don't want to add it at this stage, but I can actually show you guys that really quick before I go too much further. So this is going to be the key, and then let's get another shuffle node in here and disconnect that. And on this one, this will be the rim. And then if I look at the rim light group, okay, and I can show you rebuilding the beauty with just those two lights. So if we look at the lights right here, that is the key light, and then this is the rim light coming from behind. And then basically what I can do is create a merge node. So I'm push tab, start typing in merge, and I create the merge. I'm going to get the these two channels together, the key and the light. And then on the merge node, instead of over, we're going to put it on plus. And then if I push one here, we can see that is exactly the same as our beauty pass. So that's one way to create the beauty pass with the lights. So for right now, I'm just going to disconnect these and move them over to the side. So that's one way to create the beauty pass, but let's go through the different AOVs. We're getting the beauty here, and then on this one, let's go in and I'll work my way down. We can throw in the albedo, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to do the coat, and let's rename this coat. And like I said, when you got too many properties here, it's kind of scary to make sure that you're actually working on the same one, especially since they're all the same node right now. So I'm just going to close them out, and then I am going to double click on this one, and we had the coat, we already had the diffuse. This is going to be our reflections. And then here, this is going to be the glossy transmission. Let's do subset for scattering first. The order really doesn't matter, it's just for me in my head, the way it works. And then over here, we'll bring in the transmission. And these are the core that I need. The other passes that we have are helper passes, and I can show you a couple of them, but right now if we look at it, we have the diffuse, the coat, the reflections, your specular basically, the subset for scattering, and the transmission. And this is happening like because it's going through a transparent object and it's not quite refractions, it's just the transmission through the glass object, or a transparent object. Okay, so let's merge these together. So I'm going to create a merge, and then I want to make sure that I get the alpha. So I'm going to push the B over to the diffuse, and the diffuse is where I'm going to actually get the alpha channel for this, and I'm going to make sure that the B thread is kind of like the background. That's the furthest one on the back, but it's also going to give us all the channels from that in there. So if I look at this right now, once it's combined, and I were to switch over to alpha, we'll see that it doesn't have an alpha channel. If I look at the diffuse, we still don't have an alpha channel. And over here, inside of the original image, we do have an alpha channel. So we could separate that into its own and then build our own. But if we go into the diffuse and the shuffle node here, you'll see in B, we can actually switch this to alpha and then connect that to the alpha channel here. So if I look at the diffuse and now I look at this merge, and anytime I connect the B channel all the way down, it's going to keep that alpha channel together all the way down. Okay, so, and we only want to do that once. If we overlay a whole bunch of alphas together all the way down the chain, it's going to cause some problems for us with the alpha basically being eroded away. So let's create another merge. The B channel over on this side, the A is going into there, and then let's double click on that so that I have the right thing, and then we're going to switch this over to plus. And then I also have the alpha channel here, and let's remember to switch back over from alpha to RGBA, and now we have this. So we are getting kind of close back to there. So next is the subsurface scattering. I'm just going to take this one, copy and paste, so Control-C, Control-V. It automatically connected into the A, which I don't want. I want it to be in the B. And then switch the A to subsurface scattering. It's already set to plus, so I don't have to switch it. And here we should look at 1 and there. And it's basically the same beauty pass now. There's not any color shifting or anything except for the eyes. So that's where we need the last one. And we're going to connect the B over to this side and connect the transmission in. And now we have the beauty pass rebuilt with the AOVs. And if we look at the final part, line in the chain here, compare that to the image, there's a tiny bit of a shift in the eyes. I could find exactly where that is, but it's not horrible. It's like basically there. It's good enough for what I need right now. Excuse me. So let's do a little bit more compositing. We can create a constant. Oops. Constant. There we go. And then on this one, I'm going to change the color, and I'm going to try to create the light back there. So I'm going to bring the lightness up, and then I know it was I created that light in the blue range somewhere around there. So if I look at that, it's just a blue constant. Then we can create a merge node, and we'll connect the B over this way and the A over this way. Something with the A and B, the way you would look at it is A over B. So B is the background, A is what's going on top of it, and that's the default setting. So we end up getting this look right here, which is not what we want. We actually want it to just be in the alpha section. So we're going to switch the operation instead of over to under. And you'll see that that pushes it into the background there. Now let's shuffle out the Z-Pass. So we're going to create a shuffle node and connect that here. Actually, we don't even need to do that for this. Sorry about that. We don't need that. Let's do because we kept that D clean, so we're getting the channels from the original image. So we're going to go, instead of shuffle, we're going to do a Z defocus. And then I'm going to connect the image into the bottom of the chain here, push 1 to look at it. And right now nothing's working because we got to change some of the settings. So let's double click on this here, and then where it says depth channel. It says depth.z, and in this case we're going to want to actually switch that, because when we rendered out from Houdini it didn't have the same name, and this is the same for any render engine. You just have to find the correct depth channel, and for Houdini it's Houdini using Karma is depth underscore extra.z. So I'm going to use that. You can see that things get out of focus now. And then we have this focal point here. We can actually click and drag it. And let's make the focus there on the face. So you can see that the face is now open. Let's bring this down this way. Zoom this in a little bit more. So the focus is in here, and then the background's out of focus. We can look at the output result. That's what we're looking at right now, but we can also switch over to the focal plane. So you can see that it has a very thin slice at that exact depth that is in focus. And that might not be exactly what I want. Let's say I want his whole face to be in focus, but then outside of that, I want it to be, it's okay if it's out of focus. So I'm going to increase the depth of field, and you can see that those areas turn green. So I'm going to just get his face like that, and I'm happy with that area being completely in focus, and then everything else closer or further away is going to be out of focus. Right now, if and the blue section would be kind of the closer, but we don't see any blue because he's just the closest thing in the screen right now. So then we have the size. So let me go back to the switch this over to result. Oh, and before I change the size, right now I'm set at far 0. I'm going to switch this. You can switch it to direct or depth. I'm going to put it in depth, so it gives me a little bit more accurate because I have depth pass here. Then I can adjust the size, and the size is the amount of blur. So if we go down to 1, you can see it's pretty solid there, and if I start growing it, it goes up to a certain point, but you can see that it's not changing here in the background, and that's because we're clipping with the maximum here. So the maximum any defocusing is going to happen is to this maximum. So this is good for like art direction, like if you find a point where the background is the right blurriness that you want, but you want kind of his arms to be more blurry, you can do that. And if we look closely, even though we're at the maximum, let's look at his hands here. So we're past the maximum, but we can actually get more defocusing happening here in that midground area of our image. So, but the background stays the same, where the hand gets more or less defocused. So I'm gonna, let's say, put it at 20, and I'll match this at 20, and I think that is good for me. And then we have our defocused image. So another thing that we can do, since there's this bright light that we're coming in here, oh, another thing that I'm going to do with the depth, actually, let's bring in that depth channel finally. So I'm going to push tab, shuffle, and then connect here. This is going to be our Z. And then we are going to bring in that depth extra. And then let's put a, oops, I want that there, but I'm going to give myself a little bit more space. I'm going to do a merge. You can shake a node and it will disconnect. So it's going to be here, and then this image is going to go here. Nope, not the filter. I want the image. Let's just shake that and then go to the image and then push 1 here. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so I have that there, and then let's get that depth connected. Let's try again. Got the depth connected, and then right now, if we look at that compared to this, let's look at this. Why is our depth not looking correct? Oh, that's because it is feeding into the alpha channel. Oh, actually, it's not feeding into anything right now because you can see that it's got this, but it's not connecting over to this other side. So I'm going to tell it that I want it red, green, and blue. So that way we get our alpha, but it's a 30-bit, 2-bit color image. So I'm going to add a grade. And in this grade, I can actually adjust the white point because the white is going past 1, and we can see that when we do that, we start getting more detail in our image because these are the other types of values that we're actually getting in the white right now. So this adds a little bit more detail. And then now let's look at this with the 1. We can see that it overlaid it there, so I like that. I'm going to shift the gamma. I just want it to be a little bit, kind of giving a little bit of haze in the back. And I am actually going to switch this merge that we have here. So I'm going to double click on that instead of over. I'm going to put it on screen. So that way anything that's black isn't affecting the image. The white is the only thing that's affecting the image. Now that I have that haze, I also want to add kind of some God rays. And we're going to do that with volume rays. And that connected there automatically, and we can see that we get the volume rays. And let me just close out all my settings because we're going to get 2 dots there with the defocus and that. So we have this, and then we can actually move that volume position to where the window is and kind of create that God ray effect. And then right now the quality is at medium. I'm going to bump it up to very high. That should smooth it out a bit. And then if I look at this final image here, it is only showing us the God rays. And that's because it's just generating the rays from there. So what we actually want is another merge node. We can disconnect both of these, and then I'm going to create a merge node. And with the merge node, it's going to be that. And then we will connect that. And then when we look at this, we can see that we have that like that. I'm going to also switch it from over to plus. And I like the way that looks better. Connect the CD focus and look at this. And we get this kind of result happening from our image there. The only other thing that might be kind of nice to play around with is the do a lens flare. So there is a flare node. We can connect that there, and I am going to connect it. Yeah, I'll connect it here. There we go. And then I'm going to close the other properties underneath that so that we have that. So I'm going to bring the position of the flare, if I can grab the dot properly, to where that is. And then I can start adjusting things. So I can adjust the size multiplier. That's way too much. Let's go to multi, and gonna add more repeats in here, so that way we have kind of some happening there, and then do some kind of random offset. Okay, and then random size. I kind of want it bigger, something like that. Okay, then under the flare, I can adjust the size here as well. And I want something kind of like that. Maybe switch this a tiny bit. Okay. Then the ring color, we can, right now it is white, I'm going to switch it to be that kind of like little bit of blue that we had, so you can see that you get that color there. Then the inner color, let's shift this a little bit too. Kind of like that. And then chroma spread, this is where we start really kind of getting some cool things there. And then chroma shift, we can shift it side to side. I'm going to leave it there. Brightness, I'm going to bring this back down. You can see that now that's really starting to kind of look more like a lens flare, like what we would see in the lens. And then I think, at least for this demo, I'm happy enough with this. Something that I might want to do maybe before I do the any of these things, the ray, the depth of field. So I want 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to move these down a little bit. And then maybe I'll adjust and do a grade node here. And we can see that it added it there. And I just want to kind of maybe bump up that and maybe bump up the actually maybe not a grade node, let's do a color correct node. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the saturation a little bit, and then I'm going to bring up the gamma a little bit to kind of pop him. And if I wanted to, I can, because really what I want to do is on that, I can do it with the cryptomats, but I don't want to mess with the cryptomats right now. So this is good. And then maybe what I can do is, since I rendered out the shadows, I can separate out the shadows. Let's do a shuffle node, and then connect that here. And double click on this, and this is going to be our shadow. And then I'm going to switch over to the shadow. Let's go into the correct colors, and then let's put another merge. And then B goes here. Oh, let's connect it. It's going to be a little bit easier. Oops, I created a couple nodes on accident. Okay, so I'm going to take that and drag it down. A's there, and then B's here, and then the B's going to go here. There you go. And then if I look at this one, right now it's on over, but we want it for the shadows, so I'm going to put it on multiply, and that looks a lot better. And basically what I could do is add a grade node here. And in the grade node, if I adjust the gamma and the black point, you can see that I'm starting to get more shadows and everything. And if I do the black point, I can kind of make things darker wherever the shadows are, because I have it on a multiply node. Oh, it's not connected. Here, so if I look at that directly, by adjusting the gamma, you'll see that we're getting more shadows or less shadows. And then also adjusting the black point, we will make the shadows darker as well, more harsh. So I'm going to do something like that, and then let's look at the output, kind of what we're getting. Then playing around with the gamma, you can see kind of the difference it makes in the final. Oh, look, it covered up the windows because we're doing it after the windows. Are we always? Nope. So I'm going to take this and disconnect this here. And then I'll connect the B right above that window. And then this goes into the B over here. I can shift that there. So if I push this here, it's going under. So I'm losing the alpha at this stage here. That is interesting. Oh, because I'm multiplying it. Yep, and it's an image and it's going onto the black. Let's put it on. How would it multiply? And let's check this over here. We're not getting any alpha. Let's see if I put the alpha into here. If we can just fix that really quick. There we go, that's fixed. And then this color correct is going to go into that node there, and let's look at it at the bottom. And we have everything working. Let's just test out that color correct node. You can see that we can make it darker in the shadows, and it's shadowing everything that should be in shadow for him. Cool. All right. So I think that is enough for this one. This should give you a kind of basic idea on compositing a set of AOVs, especially if it's coming from Houdini, but the same process is available for you to use if you're using any render engine and compositing in Nuke. All right, that's it. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys next time.